Stay amongst these corpses. But the question is, which corpse you would first like to disturb? There are 4 choices. 1. Xavier. 2. Yardley. 3. Clarissa. Clarissa. It takes quite a bit of effort, but eventually, the heavy stone edges to the side, allowing you to peek inside. And when you do, it's not what you were expecting. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Clarissa is now just skeletal remains wrapped in the remnants of a blue dress, but the shocking thing is that she is not alone. Nestled at her side lies another skeleton. This one is presumably a man. It is dressed in what must have been a very fine suit, and despite the dirt and mold, you can still see a brown stain of old, dried blood on the shirt collar. It looks like this body was dumped in with poor Aunt Clarissa, but who was it, and how did they die? And just as you ponder this mystery, there is a distinct cough directly behind you. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. You scream, but it is a strangled sound as absolute fear constricts your throat. Standing there is a man, one of the Bolt triplets, with a paintbrush protruding from his eye. He nods in acknowledgement, making the wooden handle waggle up and down in the eye socket. You feel sick as you watch the blood ooze from the wound, then trickle down his cheek and soak into the shirt collar. That's you. The body in the tomb. Got it in one. Zachary Bolt in the flesh. Or not, as the case might be. With his own joke, he tries to wink, but the paintbrush gets in the way. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Dash that thing. Still, I had been winding old Yardley up. Sitting for a portrait is terminally dull, so I had to liven things up a bit. Yardley was always so easy to tease. I just had to mention Xavier's latest exhibition, and poor old Yard would blow a gasket. Yardley murdered you. With a paintbrush? You're in one of the triptych portraits? There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Yes, yes and yes. Cheeky blighter painted the red velvet cushion in my actual blood, can you believe it? And then left the paintbrush, the murder weapon no less, in plain sight. Plain sight. I'll tell the police that you're here. You can be properly buried, and can have justice, unless you want to protect him. Dash that scoundrel. Brother or not, the truth must out. After that vehement proclamation, the ghost slowly fades then disappears. So, now you know the final resting place of Zachary Bolt, although it would be useful if you could also find the murder weapon. There is one choice. 1. Take the shirt collar. Take the shirt collar. You take the blood-stained shirt collar as proof of this discovery, then replace the lid and think about examining another of your ancestors' tombs. However, if you don't want to push your luck, you can leave the mausoleum. What is your next step? There are 4 choices. 1. Poke around Yardley's remains. 2. Exhume Xavier. 3. Open up Wendy's tomb. Open up Wendy's tomb. The stone lid shifts surprisingly easily, but although you are prepared for the sight, Wendy's eyeless skull is quite a shocker. The skeleton is yellowed with patches of dried, taut, leathery flesh still wrapped around the bones in places. However, the splintered hole in the side of her head is the biggest shock. Is that a bullet wound? And if so, was she murdered or was it self-inflicted? There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Feeling slightly guilty at your ghoulish behavior, you close the lid and are contemplating choosing another tombstone when there is a sudden and sickening noise, the scuttling sound of thousands of insects, and right on cue, they erupt from each and every crack. A stream of black, shiny beetles rush across the floor and fill the crypt, so with a terrified scream, you burst out of the mausoleum and run away. After an impressive sprint, you reach an oak tree and realize that they haven't followed you. Nevertheless, it takes a while for your heartbeat to return to normal. You're just glad that no one saw that embarrassing display. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. There's no way you're going back, so? There is one choice. 1. You head around the side of the house. You head around the side of the house. Around the side of the house, you find the ornamental gardens, complete with their own pond, and close by is the so-called orangery. Which would you like to explore now? There are two choices. 1. The orangery. The orangery. It's just a posh conservatory. You grumble, but as you close the orangery door, the plants start to shake and shimmy. It sounds like a fierce wind is blowing through their leaves, but you can feel nothing. Abruptly, everything then goes still, and an agonized groan comes from a large rubber tree. The man who staggers out from behind the foliage looks familiar, but this Bolt brother is not at his best. His features are thin and pinched, his skin a waxy gray-green, and vomit dribbles down his chin. He smashes a transparent fist down on a plant pot, but it only makes a slight shudder, and this impotence infuriates him even more. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. This is revenge from beyond the grave. My own brother poisoned me with arsenic. At least death was swift for Zachary. This is a never-ending torture. He bellows. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Well, it does end though, doesn't it? I mean, but your voice fades away as you realize that telling a ghost he's dead is probably not the most tactful thing. However, the phantom is not paying any attention. He's too busy dragging an easel forward, and in a frenzy starts drawing on the canvas. It must be charcoal, because he swipes a black stick across, then licks his fingers to smudge it in an artful fashion. This might be impressive, except his fingers, mouth and tongue are stained black, and it's all mixing quite disgustedly with the vomit. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. You creep forward to view his work, but see that as soon as he draws anything, the charcoal disappears, leaving a pure white canvas. He really is trapped in limbo. The ghost then fades away, with the last thing being an awful slurp as he sucks on his thumb once more. You leave the orangery. Where do you go next? There are two choices. 1. The ornamental gardens and pond. The ornamental gardens and pond. The gardens have marble statues everywhere, and you're not sure, but you suspect they are moving when you're not looking. Feeling an ever-growing sense of doom, you rush on towards the pond. It looks and smells stagnant, and it's too cold for a dip, but maybe you can find something in it. How do you search the pond? There is one choice. 1. By sticking your foot in it. By sticking your foot in it. You dip a toe into the surface while wondering if there's anything you can actually do here. The slowly undulating algae ripples out from your foot, but then you notice more ripples forming all over the pond. The water starts to rear up and down, waves growing stronger with each crest. Is something about to emerge? You don't want to know the answer to that, and you definitely don't want to stay out here any longer. With an impressive sprint. There is one choice. 1. You hurtle back into the house. You hurtle back into the house. You've already explored the ground floor, so you climb up the stairs. The doors are ajar, and you can see that the master bedroom is nearby, whereas further along the landing, there is a huge artist's studio, and at the end is a drab small room, presumably the servants' quarter. Which room would you like to check out first? There are 3 choices. 1. Servants' quarter. 2. Artist's studio. Artist's studio. The space is exactly how you imagined an artist's studio to look, cluttered with various painting paraphernalia. It might make your search more efficient if you knew what you were looking for. What will help you in this search? There are 2 choices. 1. Nothing. You haven't learnt anything useful so far. 2. Information that Zachary's ghost gave you. Information that Zachary's ghost gave you. Well, Zachary did make it clear that the murder weapon, the paintbrush stabbed through his eye, was hidden in plain sight, so that's where you go first. And there it is. Standing in a pot with the others, the only difference being the brown-red stain soaked into the sharp wooden handle. Certain that the police should be able to get Zachary's DNA from it, you pocket the paintbrush. This and the actual corpse should clear up the entire mystery of his sudden disappearance all those years ago. Feeling pleased with your progress so far, you exit the studio. But where shall you go next? There are 2 choices. 1. The master bedroom. 2. The servants' quarter. The servants' quarter. The bedroom is small, unadorned, and quite depressing. On the nearby chest of drawers, you spot a book, alias Grace, and a note is inscribed inside. Dearest Agnes, I thought of you. You're not sure if that is meant ironically or not, but this must be Agnes's room. What do you search first? There are 3 choices. 1. Inside the cupboard. 2. Under the loose creaky floorboard you've just stood on. 3. The fireplace. The fireplace. At first, you think this is a fool's errand, all this rummaging about in a sooty and cobweb-draped fireplace. But finally you feel the edge of something hidden in a chimney recess. It's wrapped in layers and layers, but when you peel off the last one, you gasp. A portrait. It's the missing triptych. Signed by Yardley Bolt, it is a masterpiece of charcoal work. The black lines are expertly smudged or defined, and although it is of one of the brothers, it's not clear which one. That said, it does have rather an arrogant sneer on his face. You grasp the canvas, trembling with excitement. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. But then your flesh crawls. You have encountered a new story moment. The triptych. There is one choice. 1. As an icy breath gently strokes your neck. As an icy breath gently strokes your neck. You turn slowly, sensing the figure close behind, then hearing its cruel laugh. It is a young woman in a white nightgown, but her eyes are piercing yellow, and her teeth are unnaturally long and jagged. The laugh becomes a snarl, her lips pulling back, the unmistakable sign of an imminent attack, and then you stutter, Agnes. The ghost freezes, a frown crinkling up its forehead. It seems to be thinking about that. Does it not know who it is anymore? And in that split second of spectral indecision, you make a run for it. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. You are halfway down the landing when you realize that it hasn't followed. In fact, you're pretty sure that it's gone completely, although you're not risking it. So, that leaves you with only one place to check. You head towards. There is one choice. 1. The master bedroom. The master bedroom. You step into the bedroom, only to find that you are not alone. An old man is sitting on the bed. An old man who is familiar, and so he should be. He is your recently deceased great-uncle, Xavier. Through the wrinkles and sagging jowls, you can see the younger man portrayed downstairs in the hall and, of course, in the triptych pieces. He regards you with an arrogant sneer. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Do you have any idea of the lengths I went to? All to protect the family name. Reputation is everything. He bellows. You try to swallow but can't, and the ghost continues. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. I got rid of Zachary's body and made it look like he'd gone away on business. I made Wendy back up my tale of Yardley's illness, although we all knew that it was Zachary who had left arsenic-soaked charcoal for him, knowing of his strange and repulsive habit of licking his fingers while smudging the black lines. It was slow, but it worked. And Zachary was right. The price of Yardley's mediocre art did rocket after his demise. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. And I even got rid of the servant and my unwanted child. Nasty work, but someone had to do it, and I thought I should come clean on my deathbed. That's why I left you the clues, but I've changed my mind. The Bolt good name must live on. Over my dead body, are you going to expose anything? There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. It's an impressive speech, and if a live human had made such threats, you might have been scared. However, the transparent phantom tries to grab you by the neck, but his hand merely goes through your flesh. What the? It says, confusion now flooding over its face, but there is absolutely nothing that it can do. You don't need a second chance. You run out of the bedroom straight away. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. There is a terrible bellowing as Xavier tries to follow, then realizes he is trapped in the bedroom for all purgatory. But before you can get all smug about beating the ghost, the thick, choking air fills your lungs. The house is on fire. As though a multitude of angry specters were chasing, you sprint down the stairs towards the front door, but you still have time to notice the knocked-over candle. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Blast. I knew I shouldn't have, but regrets will have to wait. Someone has already phoned the emergency services, and both police officers and firefighters are arriving. What are you going to say, though? There is one choice. 1. You found the shirt collar and paintbrush. You found the shirt collar and paintbrush. You take the police to the mausoleum and shove open Clarissa's tomb once more. DNA tests eventually prove your claim, namely that this is Zachary Bolt. You also give them the paintbrush with its blood-stained handle, explaining how you found it in the artist's studio. It will be conclusively proved that it is Zachary's blood, and once the auctioned painting is examined too, the gruesome discovery is made. Yardley painted the red velvet cushion in Zachary's blood. Although charges cannot be brought, Yardley is named as the only suspect in his brother's murder. There is one choice. 1. Continue. Continue. Next. There is one choice. 1. You found nothing in the pond. You found nothing in the pond. Oh well, poor Yardley's cause of death is going to remain natural causes then. No justice for him. Lastly, there is one choice. 1. You found the missing part of the triptych. You found the missing part of the triptych. You do mull over the rights and wrongs, but in the end, you simply hide the triptych under your coat and walk off with it. Well, you are a member of the Bolt family, and great-uncle Xavier did bequeath the code and book to you. That's going to be your story anyway. The portrait, the missing third of the triptych, sells for a considerable fortune, making you wealthy beyond your dreams. Let's just hope that no one decides to lick it, though. There is one choice. 1. Conclusion. Conclusion. You did your best to unravel the mystery, but something's still missing. If only there was a way to go back and take another look.